So I'm going to do a video about Jean-Paul Sartre's writing called Existentialist Psychoanalysis. It's in this book, Existentialism and Human Emotions. Honestly, I did a video about Freud's psychoanalysis in a very brief way. I think there are probably a lot better discussions about Freud's psychoanalysis, and mine probably isn't that good, but it's a brief overview, just because I wanted to kind of have a preliminary, I guess, a thing to do to contrast Freud with Sartre. So psychoanalysis by itself, not even concerning Freud or Sartre or whoever, or Lacan, is that man is something that needs to be interpreted and understood. That way he can be treated and he can kind of overcome the things that he's going through. Psychoanalysis is kind of like a pedagogy of helping somebody get through what they are going through. It's kind of a way of analyzing the subject to understand what's going on in him, and to understand what is repressed, and according to Freud, what is unconscious, to bring out the unconscious to the conscious. So that was basically his goal. The goal, according to Sartre, the goal of psychoanalysis is to decipher the empirical behavior patterns of man. That is, to bring out in the open the revelations which each one of them contains, and to fix them conceptually. Its point of departure is experience. Its pillar of support is the fundamental pre-ontological comprehension which man has of the human person. So, the whole thing is still to understand man as a totality, to understand the person. But Sartre's way of doing it is not going to be to invoke any idea of the unconscious, to understand man as he is a being, as he is a existence. And the whole thing is it's a task of hermeneutics to interpret, to decipher, and to figure out things about the human psyche. It has a comparative method, and what Sartre calls the empirical psychoanalysis, or what the translator translated to call empirical psychoanalysis. They both have the goal of deciphering, of interpreting, to understanding. Sartre is going to do it in a different way, by understanding being, understanding the person as he is a being. Existential psychoanalysis recognizes nothing before the original absurd of human freedom. So there is a history that one has, and nothing is going to be concerned that is not a part of that history of the person. So, and this is all about, according to Sartre's existential psychoanalysis, this is all about choice. It's about freedom. It's about how man has a choice to do certain things in a certain way. Man is born with freedom and has the right to do certain things, and while he lives, he creates this history. And in order to understand the person, you have to understand things about the history, to understand things about the person's being. You have to consider things about his situation, his facticity. Empirical psychoanalysis and existential psychoanalysis both search within an existing situation for a fundamental attitude which cannot be expressed by simple logical definitions because it is prior to all logic and which requires reconstruction according to the laws of specific syntheses. So this is to do existential psychoanalysis is to do it prior to logic, to do it before, to do it prior and transcendent to logical thought. You're trying to understand the person's being, and trying to understand the being of the person, which is like I keep saying that's it all comes. And empirical psychoanalysis talks about a complex. It talks about the unconscious and how you want to kind of break that down and understand and bring the unconscious into the conscious. Existential psychoanalysis seeks to determine the original choice operating in the face of the world, and being a choice of position in the world is total like the complex. The subject is in a privileged spot that he has the freedom, he has choice. And what is big about this choice is that you can have the choice to try to be a certain way, whether it can put you in a state of inauthenticity or bad faith. You have a choice to be a being for others, or a choice to be a being for itself. You have a choice to neglect or to deny a part of your existence, a part of your being. You have a choice to suppress things about yourself. You have a choice to do whatever it is that you want to do that is within your being. And that's to do existential psychoanalysis is to understand and to uncover and to interpret one's being and the choice within one's history that one has made. Existential psychoanalysis is like a pedagogy because things are being interpreted. One is being looked at from the point of view of somebody else. So in a way, it is trying to figure out things about your own being. It's kind of, I guess, the way that I was trying to explain this is that existential psychoanalysis is doing it the way that Sartre or Heidegger would kind of understand the person as a being, as a existent, as a person who has freedom and has choice, which there are bad things that come with that. The whole thing is, how Sartre and Heidegger and de Beauvoir moved about ambiguity, absurdity, inauthenticity, and bad faith. How one can neglect and deny a part of one's being that can cause things like anxiety or dread. And to understand the self is to understand the person is to understand one's being, to uncover, to interpret, to decipher one's being, as he is a existent. To understand what that person's being is, to understand the choices he has made within his or her history, and to understand all of those things. So, unlike Freud, there's not a unconscious complex that is trying to be brought out into the conscious. There's not this complex, conflicting things going on. There could be things that were repressed, but which is like things when you are trying to be a certain way that you are not trying to be a certain way that is not a part of your being. But the whole thing is trying to understand and trying to decipher and to interpret one's being as a totality, as a complete unit. So I have yet to kind of get at, as an entirety, the psychoanalysis of Jacques Lacan. But from what I know about it, which is still a good amount, I would pretty much go with Sartre, because I would tend to lean in favor of the existentialists anyway. Let me know what you think about this, if you would lean towards Freud and Lacan's type of psychoanalysis, or if you would lean more towards Sartre's or somebody else's. So let me know.